Okay, so here's the Akai M7 made in Japan, which is nice. I've taken the whole thing apart because we had some issues. So this front panel was mounted on here. 3 screws came out, 2 screws here because this is a fake screw, which is funny. I had to take off all the controls. There's little set screws on some of these. And the switch handles for this one have screws that had to come out, and then 2 screws on the side here. I had to pop off something else that was over here. Oh, the whole top cover comes off here. That has a set screw on the side as well. And this knob was over top here. That has a set screw. So all those needed to be loosened in order to get this panel off. And then I had to take this unit. I took this unit out, which was not so easy. There's a bunch of wires connected in the back, and also a mechanical arm in the back that I unscrewed. There's a better way to get it out, which I didn't realize until later. So this is the guts of it. It's pretty old-fashioned. It's plugged in right now, so I'm going to turn on. So this is the back of the box. This is the front of the box. And this hole is where the mechanical stuff is, and these are the 2 amplifier channels. So I'm going to turn this on. It says all on if I press this way, and amp off if I turn it to the left. So I'm going to turn it to the left, and that immediately starts the motor spinning here. Okay, so the way a real player works, this motor's just sitting here spinning, doing nothing. And the fan here is on. I oiled all kinds of stuff in here to keep it happy. There's a belt down here that's spinning. It's a little hard to see there. Then that turns a large flywheel turns here. And when that turns, the flywheel turns this spindle, and you have to put, let's see, one tape goes here, and the take-up reel, the empty one, goes on the other side, like this. Ow. Just found 115 volts. Alright, and then this tape here would go through the heads, and then here, this is called a pinch roller, so that pinches the tape against this, which keeps it spinning. And then this piece goes, gets wrapped in here, so when this starts spinning, it takes up the tape. So I can take these off now. You just have to use your imagination. Alright, so kind of hard to remember this without the plate in front of you. So these 2 gray knobs down here control the mechanicals, and right now we're at this point, which is nothing. And then there's play and record, and then the other handle was nothing in the middle, which is where it is right now. And then forward to the right and rewind to the left. And so if I want to turn this to play, I just have to turn it clockwise about 20 degrees here. And you'll see that wheel engages and starts spinning this one, and that would pull the tape up off of the other reel. And these are supposed to slip a little bit because this is spinning too fast relative to this, and so it's actually supposed to slip a little bit, which is why these things always end up with all this black dust in here, because it's actually grinding the wheels down. Kind of strange design, but that's how they work. One problem that I found was that in this mode, play mode, this spring has to be here in order to pull this wheel up against the motor and against this reel. And so if I turn it off play, you can see that the spring is even longer. And it's been sitting like this for 20 or 30 years, so the spring got stretched. And so it used to look like this, although it was, when I got it, it was kind of stretched a lot more. And so I ended up cutting almost half of it off to stretch it out so it would have its original force back. So I'm going to turn it back to play mode. Before, it wouldn't engage and this wheel wouldn't turn, and so now it works. And I did take the whole spindle off and oil it and everything too. A lot of pieces back there, but I found a manual online for it, and it wasn't too hard to get that put back together and greased up. So that's play mode. You can see the pinch roller is grabbed here too, so if you have tape here, it'll actually pinch it and pull it up. And if I go back to regular mode, the pinch roller releases, and so the tape isn't going anywhere. Okay, and now if you want to go to record mode, you can't. This doesn't turn anymore. So what you have to do is press this button in and then turn it to record. And all that does is something electrical to start erasing the tape as it's pulling it. Erasing it and then recording over it. Okay, so that's play mode. Now we can go to fast forward on the right and rewind on the left. So this knob, we go this way, fast forward. This wheel actually came forward and then engaged. There's two different spindle sizes on here. The back one is smaller, the big front one's forward. It is larger. So when you do play, it touches the back one. When you do fast forward, it pulls forward and touches this one so that it spins faster. You can kind of see it spinning faster now. Now we go to rewind. You can't use this one. You've got to use the other one to pull the tape back up. So let's go to rewind, and you can see a totally different sequence of wheels engaged. And so it's engaging on the large one here. This guy touches this guy, which touches this one. So in rewind mode here, we had a problem. This now yellowish colored O-ring was this piece before, and it is just rotted. It's cracked. I cut it off, so that crack was not original, but it's cracked like all over the back and stuff, and it is just brittle hard. If I bend it, it might actually crack again. So what I did was I cut it off, and I measured it really carefully a couple of times, and then I went to McMaster car, which I'll explain. I may never do that again, but I found an oil and abrasion resistant polyurethane O-ring, high strength, 3/16 fractional width, and it's like a 1 3/8 ID. So they have a part number here, which is the key. So that's what I replaced it with. It seems to be really much better now. Same thing here. If you put some friction on this, it should stop spinning, because you don't want to break your tape if something gets stuck. All right, I'll go back here and talk about McMaster for a bit. So that one O-ring was like, I don't know, $6, $8, and then they charged me $13 for shipping. I also bought two more O-rings, but they charged $13 to ship these little tiny O-rings that weigh nothing in two separate packages by UPS, second day air. I would have picked the cheapest possible way. I would have gone with the USPS first class mail for like 50 cents if they would have let me pick that, but they don't tell you what the shipping costs are up front, and so you end up buying it and paying through the nose. So I may never buy from McMaster unless I absolutely have to. It's just too expensive for shipping. So this is a little tricky here, but trying to show this red O-ring I also replaced. I took the old one off, which is here. It's just kind of brittle, and it's supposed to be round. It's holding a very nice not round shape here. So and it's kind of feels not so good anymore, not very stretchy. So I got a new one here. This just, all this does is drive the little tape counter at the bottom, so you know where you are on the reel. So let me see if I can figure out how to reset this. There it goes. So if I go to play, if I remember how. No, it's not play. I guess it's connected to the take-up reel, so it has to go to rewind. But you can see the numbers here moving quickly, and so this is where you can find where your song is. Oh, my song was at 925. I'm going to stop at 925 or whatever as I'm rewinding. All right, 924, and then I go ahead and play. And when I hit play, it pulls this one too. And as you can kind of see a little bit as I'm turning it the numbers are counting upward. So that's how it keeps track of where you are. So that's all the mechanicals. I greased all the stuff in here. Oops, can't see that. I greased pretty much anywhere I could see something sliding against something else. And tried to oil all the components that I could. You can see the white grease in here to keep it working well. And let me shut the power off just so I can show this. Oh, I got to disconnect that jack there. Okay. These guys in here are the actual tape heads that pick up tiny magnetic signals from this tape, real tape, which you can't seem to get off here. Anyway, these things, if they get the slightest bit dirty, they don't work right. So I wiped those things really, really well with isopropanol, rubbing alcohol, appropriately named rubbing alcohol, and Q-tips. I don't know how many. I must have gone through like 20 Q-tips on this thing so far. But anyway, those were super dirty. I cleaned them up good. This take-up wheel here was not looking so wonderful. And actually, you can see all the black still coming off on the wheel there. I think the rubber is deteriorating on this thing. I'll try to clean that up some more. I made the mistake of... actually, it's not a mistake. I took this on my lathe and I used a Scotch-Brite pad to try to clean up the surface. And I think I wiped it with rubbing alcohol, which might have caused some of this deterioration, but I'm going to try to do something else to clean that a little better. Just to get all that dust off there, because you don't need all that on there. It's not going to hurt it that much, but it's not great either. So this is pretty much the mechanical part of things. There's a lot of electricals on here that seem to be okay. I haven't tried to clean the switches yet. Maybe I should do that. But the next thing to tackle is all the stuff back in here, the electronics. So we've got all these capacitors that need to be redone in here. Luckily, I've got spares of those. But we'll go through that. Also, the top of this box is pretty ugly looking. It needs a little cleaning and stuff. So we'll try some stuff on there and see if we can clean it up. Alright, let's see if we can tackle some of this mess. Probably a lot of this stuff is water soluble, so I'll just try wiping some of it with water. I'm going to use some simple green too here. Just kind of spray it on the top. Let's see if we can wipe some of this ancient dirt off. And if not, we'll have to try some other cleaners. A lot of dirt on there. So if we decide this is a lost cause, which it could be, I know where to get the replacement material to put on here that might look a lot nicer than this stuff. I would go to antiqueelectronicsupply.com. Antique Electronic Supply, and their website is tubesandmore.com. They're too expensive, I believe, but you know, where else are you going to get the stuff? It's pretty good quality stuff. And then putting new cloth on is a pain. You have to take all the old stuff off. It's cleaning up pretty nice, actually. There's some stains here which might come off with the isopropanol. I'll just put a little bit of that on. Let me try a Q-tip here first. This is ridiculously small, but just see what happens. Who knows what that black stuff is? Could be oil or something. Well, something's coming off, but it's coming off awful slow. Yeah, it looks like it might be working. Looks like a little more scrubbing should be able to clean this thing up nice. This handle probably needs a little more attention than just wiping it down. But this is a good start. If we hit these good with a Q-tip, they might shine actually a little bit. Isopropanol and the favorite rubbing alcohol. Yeah, it's cleaning up pretty nice actually. To do this right, you probably ought to take the screws out. Well, that one's probably stripped. I can't get in there to feel it. Well, maybe I won't take the screws out. Spend a lot of time with a Q-tip cleaning these things up, but it's worth it. This one looks rusted, but it may actually not be rusted. Let's see, it might be coffee. See if it comes off. I don't think it's rust. I think it's some kind of adhesive, so we have to get some more powerful stuff. Acetone will probably do the job, which I have. Maybe just rubbing this with a Scotch-Brite pad will work. Yeah, I'm going to need to use the white Scotch-Brite pads that don't scratch, which I don't have. Well, wouldn't you know, I learned something on one of the consoles when I was cleaning it. It had some black stains on the wood, and I tried all kinds of stuff. Not acetone, but I tried all kinds of stuff up to acetone, and nothing seemed to work. So I gave up and I said, you know what, let me just try water. Lo and behold, it washed right off. It might have been like, I don't know, coffee drip or chocolate or something. Whatever was on here, I just did water and Simple Green and it just came right off. So, sometimes you don't need any fancy solvents. Just use the simple stuff. It's actually shining up pretty nice here. You do have to be careful using like Scotch-Brite pads and stuff because you'll scratch them pretty quick. Alright, so that side is looking much better than it did when I started. There's more stuff that I could do over here probably. Much, much, much better. There's a tear there, but we can worry about that later. There are some spots, like here where the Tolex is actually peeling off and it's curled pretty strongly. So we're going to have to figure out how to take care of that one. Probably have to glue it and then put something on it to hold it down because it doesn't want to, it's not going to want to lay flat. Let's see about the top here. Okay, let's try this side here. I'm not sure I want to spray Simple Green into the speaker, so I'll just go a little carefully around the outside. And let's see, I switched to a cloth here because it should be able to dig into the pits in the Tolex a little better. Now can we clean the speaker up, or is that going to be hard? It's cleaning up a little bit. Don't get too much water down in here because the speaker will get damaged. So this is just a damp cloth, not wet. And even with this wet, it doesn't want to curl, so it's going to take some glue to fix that one. Give it a good rub. It's just like brushing your teeth. And go different directions. Try to get all the little nooks and crannies. Okay, that's looking good. Flip it to the bottom here. Oh, this isn't the bottom. This is the, well, it could be the bottom, it could be the side. I have a contraption here to get this box open. You can see this is peeling really bad here. So we may have to, we're going to have to do something to glue that back on, I guess. Get another squirt of cleaner. These latches are actually shining a little bit, which is really nice. There's some nice metal hidden under that dirt. I'm not sure if we're going to keep the power cord or put a new one in, but may as well clean it anyway. Seems like it's not in bad condition. But on equipment this old, I kind of a little afraid to rely on the power cord sometimes. You can see how clever they were. Little notches cut out here so you can close this door and you don't close it on the power cord. That's really clever there. Okay. Now the bottom. This side has not seen much dust, so it's the cleanest of all the sides. But we'll wipe it down anyway. I don't want to spray around the electronics here because I'll get overspray right inside the cabinet. So if I need to spray it, I'll spray directly onto here. We don't want the electronics to get chemicals in them. The back actually looks really good. And if you have the power on, you got to be super careful because these capacitors go up to 300, 400 volts. I shouldn't have this metal thing sitting around here while the power's on. It could short something out and burn it out. So you got to be extra careful about stuff like that. Don't want to touch it either. It's going to really hurt. I touched 300 volts before and I can tell you it stings. Okay, this case is looking pretty good, I would say. Just be careful cleaning the speaker. You don't want that speaker cone to get wet. Okay, this is looking pretty good actually. I'm happy with that. Wanted to say some more about this plate here. So it looked, I don't know how to say it, it's kind of like frosty or blotchy. And I took what's called goof off, which just cuts through any kind of grease. It's amazing stuff. And I tried to clean it with that, and I thought it was pretty good. And I came back in, and it still looked blotchy. So all I did right now is I just wiped it down with hot water. Not real wet, just a damp cloth. And it looks like way better. And I'm wondering if I ought to hit it with some simple green or isopropanol or something and just kind of wipe a little bit more down, see if it cleans up any. I'm going to try a little isopropanol right on this cloth, which is already damp from water, but I don't know. Let's see if it does anything. I'm trying to find a spot that's kind of mucky. Just down in that corner is a little bit messy still. Just going to try wiping it here and see if that does any good. It's almost like cleaning a window and it just keeps showing marks unless you use just the right chemical. Maybe I should try window cleaner. So it looks really nice now, but again, I think when it dries, some of that blotchiness will come back. Time will tell. It might just take like elbow grease to clean it off, I don't know. And you can see, well, it's hard to see, but especially if it's out of focus, but there is some haze and fogginess on the metal at the top here. This part you don't see, I'm just kind of doing it for fun. Alright, we'll see if that did any better. Once it dries completely, if it's still blotchy, maybe I'll try Windex and see how that does. So this is the lid of the whole unit, which is really cleverly designed so that you can take it off or leave it on. Oops. And it also gives you a couple of little spindle hooks here to lay your reels on, which is super handy. So you have a reel and a you might be able to hold 2 reels on each, and a take-up reel. And so that way you're ready to go. Just carry the whole thing with you. But we also need to clean this guy off, so let's get to it. Probably should have pulled the felt off of these first, and it's glued down. Okay, so here is, it just says the patents, Japanese patent numbers for this equipment. I thought it was going to tell me the model number because I haven't seen the model number anywhere on the box. So I'm going to need to get a little more water on this thing. Things shine when you rub them. So much dirt. Decades of dirt. There's more of that black stuff here that looks just like rust, but I bet you it's not. It's cleaning right up. It's really nice. Actually a nice piece of equipment under here, under all this decades of dirt. We can fix most of that tear right there, I think. Luckily all the cloth is there. Put some overspray on here. This is kind of crazy. I've got the alcohol here. It's like the more I wipe this thing, the cleaner it gets. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I wiped it down and the cloth came out like brown. It's getting a little better now. But there's just so much ancient dirt on this thing. I mean, I can still see a tinge of brown in here, just slightly. It's just amazing how much dirt is on the surface. So you just be liberal with this rubbing alcohol and lots of rubbing, and you'll clean the thing up. What I'm trying to do is go with the grain of the steel. I think that probably does a little better cleaning than going against the grain. I should be using a lint-free cloth because I can see every piece of lint from my cloth coming off here, or my paper towel. But that's alright. We'll reserve high-end stuff for the very last cleaning. But it looks really, really nice now compared to when I first got it. When I first started cleaning it. I mean, it's amazing. Kind of don't want to sell it now.